Sunday Bhagavad. So we are in the chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita, and the chapter 2 has 4 divisions. And the acronym of the chapter 2 is Gita. G stands for Guru, I stands for identity, and T stands for two dharmas, and A stands for Atmarama, a person who is in Krishna consciousness. So right now we are in the third division of the second chapter. Second chapter is also called as Sankhya Yoga. Why is it called Sankhya Yoga? Sankhya means what? Sankhya means philosophy. It is, to be more precise, it's analysis. Sankhya. So it is Krishna is giving us an analytical study about the difference between the body and the soul. And the subject matter of the soul is only discussed in the second chapter. Krishna has not described about the characteristics of the soul in any other chapter. So later on, like he has touched the topic upon Karma Yoga, he has touched the topic about Bhakti Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and everything in the chapter 2. And going forward, he will explain these yogas in depth, but about the knowledge of the soul and the characteristics of the soul and the analysis of the soul is given only in the second chapter. Therefore, this chapter is also called as Sankhya Yoga, as well as the summary of the Bhagavad Gita. So we saw in the beginning of the second chapter, Arjuna was very indecisive. He was confused about performing his duty. He was not sure what is right and what is wrong. He wanted to follow Dharma, but he wasn't very clear about what is his real Dharma. So at that point of time, Arjuna is surrendering to Krishna and he accepts Krishna as a spiritual master. And later on, Krishna, in the role of spiritual master, is first giving knowledge to Arjuna. What kind of knowledge is giving? The very first knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is we are not the body, we are the soul. And Krishna is also giving various analysis in this section where he is giving analysis of a person, how his body changes while he is living, but he is the same person. Dehinosmin yata dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tata dehantara praptir dhirastatrana muhyati. Like a person, while living, his body is constantly changing from childhood to youthhood to the old age. So similarly, at the time of death, the person leaves one body and takes up another body. And what is the criteria for taking another body?
Depending on the desire.
One is the desire, another is our karma. Vasanshi jeevnani yata vihaya navani grignati naroparani tata sharirani anyani jivanti. So, as per our previous karma and as per our desire, we get a new body. Therefore, Krishna says in the 8th chapter, Yam Yam Vapi Smaran Bhavam Tyajante Kalevaram. Whatever consciousness one leaves the body, that body a particular person will attain for sure. So we saw in the Bhagavatam, we all know Bharat Maharaj, right? Because of which our country is called Bharata. So he left the body thinking about a deer because he was giving a shelter of a deer who was miscarried by the mother. So Bharat Maharaj, out of compassion, was taking care of the deer, thinking that nobody is there for the deer other than him. So deer is an animal. So animal likes to wander. So they go to, the deer was going sometimes for collection of food and sometimes the deer was coming late. So what happens is Bharat Maharaj used to get very anxious. If the deer does not come on time, he thought that if some tiger has eaten it up or if a deer is in danger. So one such day, Bharat Maharaj went in search out of the deer, and while he was wandering in the forest, he left his body. So because of that, in the next lifetime, he became a deer. And although because he has performed devotional service previously, therefore he could remember his previous life. Generally, people like us, we do not remember our previous lives. But Bharat Maharaj, because of the devotional service he performed, he was ruling the emperor. He was an emperor and ruling the kingdom very nicely. And he took a timely retirement. He left his wife, he left his children, he left his people. Everything he left and he retired to forest. But still, we could see that how out of compassion to a deer, he became a prey. That's why the spiritual path is a razor edge. We have to be very, very careful because this path is very, very thin, and even a little bit of negligence can what happen? It can make us to fall down from our path. But Krishna is also giving us an assurance. Neha Bikramanasosti Pratyavayo na vidyate swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayato mahato bayat. So in this path, once a person takes up the path of Krishna consciousness, whatever a little bit of dharma he does. What is dharma? Dharma, according to Srimad Bhagavatam, is Savai Pumsam Paro Dharmo Yato Bhaktir Adokshaje. Ahai Tukya Apratihata Yayatmasu Prasidati. The highest dharma is rendering service to whom? To Krishna, the Adokshaja. And how should we render the service? It should be uninterrupted and unmotivated. Ahai Tuki. We are not worshipping Krishna because we have certain desires to be fulfilled. And Apratihata. And it should be uninterrupted. No matter whatever the situation is, I can still devote my life to Krishna. Because in Bhagavatam, Prahlad Maharaj has given 9 processes of devotional service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. Shravanam, just by hearing about the Lord. Kirtanam, by chanting His glories, by chanting His holy names. Smaranam, we can always remember Krishna. Even at times where we cannot do Shravanam and Kirtanam, if our Shravanam was good, had we heard sufficiently about Krishna, had we glorified Krishna sufficiently, then automatically the Smaranam will come. So now that some of us are chanting 16 rounds or 10 rounds or whatever it is, but are we not in remembrance of Krishna? Chanting these rounds, is it not helping us to remember Krishna in all the walks of our life, whatever we are doing? So why do we do this Shravanam and Kirtanam? Because while doing so, automatically the Smaranam will come. Pada Sevanam, worshipping his lotus feet. Archanam, doing the puja, which we all do. And Vandhanam, prayers. Prayers can be done anywhere, anytime. Puja is done in the altar, but prayer can be done anywhere. And approaching him as his friend, like how Arjuna, Sudama, they all approached Krishna as his friend. And Dasyam, Hanuman, he was a perfect servant of Lord Rama. Whatever Lord Rama said, he just executed. He did not even ask a single question. When he was asked to bring Sanjeevan help, what did he did? He did not know what is the right verb, so he got the entire mountain because he wanted to follow the orders of his master perfectly. And Atmanivedanam, Bali Maharaj. He has given surrendered himself completely to Lord Sri Krishna. In material terms, it may look like Bali Maharaj lost everything because Shukracharya also warned him. He is Lord Vishnu himself. Don't accept to his words. If you give the word to him, then you will lose everything. But then also Bali Maharaj neglected the words or ignored the words of Sukracharya. And if you read in Srimad Bhagavatam, we understand that Bali Maharaj already died in the battle between the Devatas and Asuras, and Sukracharya brought back his life. So he is the one who gave life to him and he is his guru. But in spite of that, if a guru is misleading you and if he is taking you away from Vishnu or Krishna, such a guru can be ignored. Because a real guru is the one who connects ourselves to Krishna. If you are having a so-called guru by tradition or by thing, and if he is an hindrance for you to connect yourself with Krishna, such a guru can be rejected. And because of this particular act, what did Bali Maharaj get? Vamana became his doorkeeper. in the Sutala planet. And it is also described that the planetary system of the Sutala, because Bali Maharaj is there, because Vamana is there, it is more opulent than the Indraloka itself. So we know that by giving to Krishna, one can never lose. One will be always gaining. So this is the sloka we saw under the section of Buddhi Yoga. So Krishna is first giving the knowledge of the soul, trying to explain the characteristics of soul in different angle. Then Krishna is slowly taking Arjuna, and he started the section with there are two types of dharma, Swadharma and Parodharma. So he is trying to explain Arjuna about his prescribed duty. Arjuna, being a Kshatriya, his duty is to fight in the battle. So, and Krishna is also giving assurance to Arjuna that this fight is anyway going to be a good deal for Arjuna. Why? If he fights, he will rule the earthly kingdom. If he loses, he will go to Swargaloka, the heavenly planets. So either way, Arjuna will be having a better outcome of this battle. But later on, he is slowly transcending Arjuna towards the Buddhi Yoga. So he is saying that, okay, your duty as a Kshatriya is to fight. Doesn't matter whether you win or lose, whether you gain or whether you attain happiness or you attain distress, you get victory or you get defeated, no matter whatever it is, just by doing your prescribed duty, you will be coming out of all the sinful reactions. Because Arjuna, we saw in the chapter 1, he was also worried about committing sinful reactions by fighting against his own guru, his own grandfather, and the relatives. Therefore, Krishna is giving him assurance that by doing our prescribed duty, we do not incur any sinful reactions. And in the following sloka, Krishna is introducing Buddhi Yoga to Arjuna. And then Krishna is saying, one who is in this particular path of Buddhi Yoga, Neha Bikramanasosti Pratyavayona Vidyate. There is no loss or diminutions. In the material world, we can see that whatever activities we take, if it is not 100% fulfilled, then that particular activity will not give us the result. An example we saw is a person who is doing a PhD. If he has not submitted his one paper, no matter he has submitted another 29 papers, still he would not obtain the degree because that one paper is incomplete. And he will be given certain time to complete the paper. If that time is relapsed, then he has to let go all the things that he has done. Otherwise, also, even if your material desires are fulfilled, then also the material world is temporary. We need to leave this world. While we go, we cannot take anything with us. Suppose you are born in the family of Ambani and you are left with a net worth of few $1 billion. Is there any guarantee that the next life you will be again born in such a rich family where there is $1 billion already there for you? No, there is no such guarantee. But in devotional service, Krishna gives us a guarantee. Even if one takes up this path of Krishna consciousness out of your own, uh, whatever our nature or our previous activities or whatever it is, if we are falling down, but still there is no loss, we will be continuing from the place where we have left. So Narad Muni also says that if a person is doing his occupational duty very nicely, very meticulously, but he is not Krishna conscious, such a person does not have any value in him. Whereas a person who left his occupational duty and who is trying to perform Krishna consciousness and he has not perfected it. Sometimes a person also falls down from Krishna consciousness, but that person is better because he has dedicated his life to Krishna. It's like having zeros and zeros and zeros, but without one, the zeros does not have any value. So whatever activities we do in this world, provided we have Krishna in the center, we have one, all our activities are futile. They does not carry any value. And in the following sloka, we saw that Vyavasayatmika Buddhi Ekeha Kurunandana. He's talking about those intelligent persons in Krishna consciousness. What do? Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kurunandana. Their focus is, they are very focused. They are focused only in Krishna. Their focus is very pointed focus. They do not have avyavasayatmika. But those persons who are less intelligent or who are not intelligent, they are multi-branched. Multi-branched means what? They do this, they do that, they do this, and they also do this. Their focus is not resolute. They are not just focused on one thing. So even if you take our education system, while we are young, we are exposed to many subjects till 10th grade. And when you go to 11th grade, it further streams down. You study a particular branch. And when you further go up, you further stream down. And when you further go up, when you're doing like masters or PhD, you further focus only on a particular subject, and some in PhD you only focus on a particular topic, not even the subject, that particular matter we do. So why we do like that? Because when we are doing just one particular thing, our focus is deep and we can attain the ultimate benefit of that. Like when we want to water the plant, where do we give the water? By watering the roots, the entire plant gets nourished. So, similarly, while worshipping Krishna, one should not have to worry what happens now. All these days, I was doing Ganesha Ashtakam, I was doing this. Will Ganesha get angry? No, because Ganesha is also a servant of Krishna. And he is very happy that you have also obtained his master, like a primary student. He has to leave the teacher one time, the primary teacher. When you go to secondary, you have to leave the primary teacher. You cannot, even though you like the teacher so much, can you always remain in the primary section? You will go to secondary section, but that doesn't mean that you will reject or you will ignore the primary teacher. You will still respect the teacher. So yes, we are not saying that you don't respect the devatas, because they are also the servants of Krishna. They are doing the duties given by Krishna by taking up a department in the material world. Like Ganesha is taking the department of removing the obstacles. Devi is taking the department of creation, maintenance, and annihilation. And so we see that Indra is taking the department of the rain, and sun god, like that. Every devata, they are taking in charge of particular thing. While we respect them, we don't need to worship them. By worshipping Krishna, every devatas, 33,000 crore devatas, they are satisfied. So one should not have a fear that I have been worshipping this devata, I have been worshipping them. Now, if I'm only worshipping Krishna, will they get angry at me? Will they stop giving me their blessings to me, like that? We don't have to worry. But while worshipping Krishna, even if you're approaching a devata, in the 7th chapter, Krishna says that the sanctioning authority is Krishna only. Without Krishna's sanction, nothing can happen. But such people, Krishna says that Antavanta Phalam Tesham, they are all like, very less intelligent people. They approach the devatas. Because generally people approach the devatas for what? Because they have some material desires, right? And any material desires we have in this world, such a desire, even if it gets fulfilled, are we really happy? Suppose one has a desire of getting a Mercedes Benz, and you got a car. By Krishna's mercy, you got the car. And one day while you're driving the car, somebody hit your car. How will you feel? The same car which gave you happiness while you got, the same car will give you distress, because it's such an expensive car. And somebody hitting the car, even if you're repairing a normal car, it will not cost so much. But if you're taking a Mercedes Benz, you cannot give even to the normal garage. You have to give to the company garage, and they will charge you bombs because it's very expensive when you're giving the service and the thing. So the same thing which gave you happiness can also give you the distress. So the material desires, the more and more we are attached to our material things, then it may cause us the distress, because they are all temporary. They are not real. They are real. They are real, but they are all temporary. So in the 15th chapter, Krishna has described this material world as Urdhvamulam Adashakam. So it is a reflected tree. It's an upside down tree. Had we any time have you seen a tree which is upside down with the branches up and the leaves down? Have you seen any tree in this world which has the roots up and the branches down and the leaves down? But you can see such tree in the material world somewhere. Where will you see that? Near the pond, near the river. When you see the reflection of the tree, how does it look like? Upside down. It looks like the roots are up and the branches are down, right? So that is the material world, is a reflection of the spiritual world. So in the reflected world, suppose you're trying to get a fruit in the reflect, will you be able to get it? If you are trying to get the fruit from the reflection, will you be able to get it?
No.
We will not be able to get it because it is only the reflection. So that's why all the fruitive activities that we are trying to get in this material world is a vain, and it causes bondage because it is not real. So the real fruit, the real thing is there in the spiritual world. So that doesn't mean that we should not have desires at all. Yes, we should have desire because that's the very nature of the soul. But our desire should be towards Krishna. By giving all our desires to Krishna, by keeping ourselves engaged in the service of Krishna, no matter whatever activities we do, then our desires will not give us distress, whereas the same desire will help us to advance in Krishna consciousness and go back home, back to Godhead. In fact, in the process of devotional service, this thing, asakti to Krishna, is one of the level. The first, it starts with Shraddha. Shraddha means have minimum faith. At least all the people who are reading Bhagavad Gita, who are attending the class or something, we have some faith. Otherwise, without faith, how will you attend? Anything that we start, it starts with some faith. Adav Shraddha, Bhajana Kriya. Then what happens? You come and you have some bhajana and sadhu sangha. You come with some devotees association. And by coming in devotee association and by doing the bhajana, what happens? Anartha nivritti. All our anarthas like kama, krodha, lobha, moda, mada, matsarya, they all start diminish. And then it comes to the stage called asakti. Asakti comes after our anartha nivritti happens. Before that, it doesn't come. See, now also, we are all practitioners. We are all sadhakas. We have not perfected Krishna consciousness. But sometimes we feel that, our attachment to Krishna is not perfect. We are attached to a certain extent, but we are still attached to our material desires, right? So this is a state. So as long as we are having anarthas, then the asakti to Krishna will not happen. But by doing the activities, by trying to satisfy the senses of Krishna, then automatically both the things will happen. One thing is you come out of your anarthas, you become nirmala, and you also develop the attachment towards Krishna. And when you get attached to Krishna, then automatically you become detached from this material world. So without getting attached to Krishna, then the detachment from the material world will not happen. So one may take a particular kind of that I won't eat sweet. But if you're just doing it for your own thing, maybe you may resist for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. And after that, because that did not have any spiritual thing, you may end up eating. And the day you end up eating, you may eat up even more because there is no this thing. You cannot just get detached from Krishna, from things, material things very easily. Whereas when you're attached to Krishna, then things becomes very easy. Like people who are attached to coffee and tea and everything, when some of us came to Krishna consciousness, because we are attached to the service of Krishna and following the four principles of regulative principles means also giving up coffee and tea. So we could easily give up the coffee and tea. Why? Because we are attached to Krishna. After giving up, not a single day you had a desire that I have to drink coffee or I have to drink tea, because you are completely come out of it. You are preparing for the people at home. But while you're preparing, while you have also been used to take coffee or tea before, today, because you are given up this for the pleasure of Krishna, to satisfy Krishna, you don't have any desire to take them anymore. Okay, so this is all called Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, means resolute, being single focus. An intelligent person will be rendering the service to Krishna. So today we will be seeing the verse of a person whom Krishna is talking about, not very intelligent. For a less intelligent people, what does Krishna say? So, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 42 and 43. So, Prabhupada has given both these slokas together because they have a flow of thoughts. Therefore, these both the slokas are combined together. Yamimam pushpitam vacham
Yamimam
पुष्पितां
पुष्पितां
वाचम्
वाचाम्
prabhadhyantya vipakshita
प्रवदन्त्य
प्रपद्यन्ति
विपश्चिता
अविपश्चित
vedavadarata partha
वेदवादरता
वेदवादरता
पार्थ
पार्थ
nanyantastiti vadina
ज्ञान्यनस्थिति
नान्यदस्ति
वादिन
तति वादव
कामात्मान स्वर्गपरा
कामात्मानः
कामात्मान
स्वर्गपरा
स्वर्गपरा
जन्म कर्म फलप्रदाम्
जन्म
जन्म
कर्म
कर्म
फलप्रदाम्
या
फलप्रदाम्
विशेष बहुलाम्
क्रिया
क्रिया
विशेष
विशेष
बहुलाम्
बहुलाम्
भोगैश्वर्य गतिं प्रति
योगैश्वर्य गतिं
भोगेश्वर्य
प्रति
गतिं प्रति
यामिमां पुष्पितां वाचम्
यामिमां
यामिमां
पुष्पितां
पुष्पितां
वाचम्
वाचम्
प्रबध्यन्त विपक्षित
प्रवर्धन्त्य
प्रवर्धन्ते
विपश्चित
विपश्चित
वेदवादरता पार्थ
वेदवादारता
वेदवादरता
पार्थ
पार्थ
नान्यन्तस्तीति वादिन
ज्ञानदस्ति वादित
नान्यदस्तीति वादिन
वादिन
कामात्मान स्वर्गपरा
कामात्मान
कामात्मान
स्वर्गपरा
स्वर्गपरा
जन्म कर्म फलप्रदाम्
जन्म
जन्म
कर्म
कर्म
फलप्रदाम्
फलप्रदाम्
क्रिया विशेष बहुलाम्
क्रिया
क्रिया
विशेष
विशेष
बहुलाम्
बहुलाम्
भोगैश्वर्य गतिं प्रति
योगैश्वर्य
भोगेश्वर्य
गतिं
गतिं
प्रति
प्रति
यामिमां पुष्पितां वाचम्
यामिमां
यामिमां
पुष्पितां
पुष्पितां वाचम्
वाचम्
प्रपद्यन्त्य विपक्षित
प्रवदन्त्य
प्रवर्धन्ते
विपश्चित
विपश्चित
वेदवादरत पार्थ
वेदवादरता
वेदवादारता
पार्थ
पार्थ
नान्यन्तस्तीति वादिन
नान्यदस्ति
नान्यदस्तीति
वादिन
वादिन
कामात्मान स्वर्गपरा
कामात्मान
कामात्मान
स्वर्गपरा
स्वर्गपरा
जन्म कर्म फलप्रदाम्
जन्म
जन्म
कर्म
कर्म
फलप्रदाम्
या
फलप्रदाम्
विशेष बहुलाम्
क्रिया
शेष
विशेष
बहुलाम्
बहुलाम्
भोगैश्वर्य गतिं प्रति.
भोगैश्वर्य
योगैश्वर्य
गतिं
गतिं
प्रति
प्रति
Wants to do this sloka? Would you like to do Shweta Mataji?
I'll do Mother. यामिमां पुष्पितां वाचम्
Yamimam
यामिमां
यामिमां
pushpitam
पुष्पितां
पुष्पितां
vacham
वाचम्
वाचम्
प्रवदन्त्यविषीक्षत
prabhadyanta
प्रवदन्त्य विपश्चित
vipakshita
वेदवादर्ततात् पार्थ
vedavadarata
वेदवादारथा
पार्थ
partha
पार्थ
नान्यदस्तितिवादिनः
नान्यन्तस्तीति
न्यदस्तीति
vadina
वादिना
कामात्म्यानः स्वर्गपरा
कामात्मान
कामात्मानः
स्वर्गपरा
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 जन्मकर्मफलप्रदाम्
जन्म कर्म
जन्म कर्म
फलप्रदा
फलप्रदाम्
फलप्रदाम्
Kriya Vishesha Bahulam
Kriya Vishesha Bahula
बहुला
Bhogai Aishwarya Gati Prati
Bhogaishwarya Gatim
भोगेश्वर्यगतिं
Pratim
प्रति
Yam Yam Imam, all these Pushpitam, flowery, Vacham, words, Pravadanti, say, Avi Aviprash Aviprashitah, men with a poor fund of knowledge, Vedavadaha Rataha, supposed flowers of the Vedas, Partha, O son of Pratha, Na, never, Anyat, anything less, else, Asti, there is, Iti, thus, Vadinaha, the advocates, Kama Atmanaha, desirous of sense gratification, Swarga Paraha, aiming to achieve heavenly planets, Janma Karma Phala Pradam, resulting in good birth and other fruitive reactions, Kriya Vishesha, pompous ceremonies, Bahula, various, Bhoga, incense enjoyment, Aishwarya, and opulence, Gatim, progress, Prati, towards. I'll go ahead.
Yeah, please. Translation. You can.
Men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planets, resultant good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, they say that there is nothing more than this.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swamiti Namine. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Desatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gauravakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So here Krishna is talking about the avapikshita, means a person with poor fund of knowledge, a person who is not intelligent, a person who is of small knowledge. Pushpitam Vacham. Pushpitam Vacham means flowery words of Vedas. Even in the material world, we say, right, some people, they talk very flowery just to cheat us. It will not be really the right thing, but why do people sometimes talk very flowery? Just to impress us, right? Those words may not be really applicable, but they just talk flowery. So, men, they are very much attached to the flowery, pushpitam vacham, Vedavada Ratha. So, these people, they think that, they are following the Vedas. So, actually speaking, Vedas are like a junction. So they help us to go wherever we wanted. Whatever the creative activities we wanted, we can get that through by following some Vedic rituals. For example, when we are going to the airport, so you're in a junction and then you check in the screen and you check which gate you want to go to reach your destination, right? So similarly, Vedas, they are a platform or where you go there and you get various kind of desires fulfilled. So you perform this particular yajna, you get this. You perform that, you get this. So they help you to fulfill your activities, whatever the desires you have. Generally, why do people perform such kind of ceremonies? They perform for good birth and for power, right? We see sometimes the politicians and all, they perform big yajnas for what? They do some for because they wanted to be in the power, right? So some people, they do the yajna, they do so that they can get an opulent life. And some people, there are also yajnas in the Vedic sacrifices, which is called Jyotishama. By doing that, one can get entrance to heavenly planets also. So people, they do various yajnas and everything so that their material desires get fulfilled. But what does Krishna speak about this material world? A Brahma Bhuvanan Loka Punar Avarti Nojuna. From Brahma, right from Brahma to the ant, everybody has to take birth again and again in the material world, which means that everything, the life, including the life of Brahma, is temporary. And Brahma's life is Sahasra Yuga Paryantam. He lives for thousands of years. Compared to us, one day of Brahma is thousands of kalpas. One kalpa is 4 yugas. And we know each yuga, Kali Yuga is 4,32,000, Dwapara Yuga is 8,64,000, and then Treta Yuga is 13 lakhs and something, and then Satya Yuga is 16 lakhs plus. So put together is one kalpa. Like that, one day of Brahma is 1,000 kalpas. But even then, Brahma will also have his period of living only for 100 years. He is not going to live forever. So, in this thing, what does people, even in Vedas, they say that everything is only for us to achieve our desires, to gratify our senses, and to lead the opulent life. They say that there is nothing more than this. Some people, they also give gali to people who are following Krishna consciousness. They say, there's nothing like that. You don't have to follow so much restricted rules. It is not said anything. You can just, life is for enjoyment. And our own Vedas are giving so many such waves. So you just have to lead a normal life. You don't have to do all those things, because they cannot think anything other than that. So, and desiring for the opulent life. So people generally, they wanted a very opulent life. So what they can do, they can enjoy their senses even more. So such kind of people Krishna is talking about in this particular verse. Okay, we will see the purport of Srila Prabhupada, and we can see Krishna, who spoke about Swargaloka to Arjuna in the sloka number 35. He is talking that this Vargaloka is nothing now. Can you see how Krishna has elevated his pitch? Previously, what did he say to Arjuna? If you lose, you will enjoy the earthly kingdom. If you win, sorry, if you lose, you will go to heavenly planets. And if you win, you will enjoy the earthly kingdom. So Krishna spoke as an incentive to Arjuna about going to heavenly planets. But the same Krishna, we can see that here he is talking about people who are desiring to go to heavenly planets, or what, people of less intelligence or people of less knowledge. Why? Because Krishna further says that even when you go to heavenly planets, you cannot live there forever. Shine punye mrityuloke vishanti. Once your piety gets exhausted, then you have to come back to the material world, to the earthly planet. For example, if you're having, let's say, 10 lakh rupees and you're taking a trip to some country, let's say you're taking a trip to Paris. So, how long can you live in Paris?
Week.
As long as you have those 10 lakhs, right? You can live in Paris. So, once you have exhausted your money, will you be able to live there? You can't leave back. You have to come back here, right? So this is how the heavenly planets are. Yes, we will go there. The life is very, very nice over there and very long. One day of the life in the heavenly planet is 6 months in the earthly planets. And one night of the time in the heavenly planet is again another 6 months. That's why to Pitrulokas, to Pitrus, we give Pinda to them once a year. Why we give? Because in Pitruloka also, the equation is like this. The 1 year of us is equal to 1 day of the people in the higher planets. So, like that, they live for 12,000 years. So, imagine in terms of our duration and their duration, it looks like they are going to live for ever. They are not going to die at all. Suppose an ant looking at human beings, what does the ant think? That humans are immortals, because ant lives for few days. That is the lifespan of the ant. But we live for at least, let's say, around 70, 80 years, right? So that means for the ant, we are like Brahma. But doesn't mean that we are having so much of time to live. No. So time is relative, but everything is temporary in the material world. So an intelligent person will not invest his time and energy for temporary things in the world, knowing that it is not going to last forever. Mataji, can you continue reading the purport from the screen?
Yes. People in general are attached to fruitive activities. People in general are not very intelligent, and due to their ignorance, they are most attached to the fruitive activities recommended in the Karma Kanda portions of the Vedas. They do not want anything more than gratificatory proposals for enjoying life in heaven, where wine and women are available and material opulence is very common.
So why people want to go to heavenly planets? Because you get more enjoyment there compared to the earthly planet. You get more kind of enjoyment in the heavenly planet. So Karma Kanda portions of the Vedas, what do? They help us to fulfill our material desires. So people think that the life is only for us to fulfill our desires. The main goal of life is to fulfill our senses. Therefore, they also do things to go to heavenly planets also. Like, for example, even in the material world, people like to go and live in Western countries and abroad. Why they would like to go there? Why they want to go and live in Europe and America, those kind of places?
They feel the life is more comfortable than.
More comfortable, right? So the same proposal goes. So people also like to go to heavenly planets because in heaven, the enjoyment that you get in the heaven is much, 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 much higher than what you get in the earthly kingdom. The beauty of one apsara will be million times the Miss World of this earthly planet. So they are most beautiful and they sing very beautifully, they dance very beautifully. So the sense enjoyment is available very, very profusely over there. Therefore, people wanted to go there because they feel that by going there, we can enjoy ourselves very nicely. So, such a kind of thing Krishna is condemning because even Vyasadev, after he wrote all the Vedas, he was not happy because he thought that already people are taking birth in the material world because you have desires. We just saw that the very reason why we are coming back again and again in the material world is because of our karma and desires. So Vedas will further entangle them by making them fulfill their desires. Therefore, he was not happy, although he gave all the Vedas. And upon the instruction of Narad Muni, Vedavyas wrote Srimad Bhagavatam, where there is no fruitive activities in Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam does not talk about dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Bhagavatam is giving us the pure love to Lord Sri Krishna. Only the prema. There is no such economic development and all those things given in Bhagavatam because it is directly connecting us towards love for Lord Sri Krishna. Therefore, Vedavyas himself was not happy after giving all these work because they further bind us. The more and more we do activities to fulfill our desires, we get more and more binded. For example, if you're doing such a nice pious activities and if you're going to heavenly kingdom, that means you're going back to Krishna is further will take lot of time because you're going to waste another 12,000 years in heavenly planets, which means you will be further delayed to go back to Krishna, right? For example, for people like us who are following Krishna consciousness, if we are perfecting Krishna consciousness and if we are able to remember Krishna at the time of the death, this very lifetime we can go back to Krishna, to Vaikuntha or Goloka planets. And once we go there, what did Krishna says? That Yadgatvana Nivartante Tadama Paramamama. Once you go there, there is no coming back. But in the heavenly planets or wherever you go within this material world, you have to come back again and again. You will not be coming out of the clutches. right from Brahmaloka to the Patala Loka, everywhere the birth, death is prevalent. Okay. So, how do they go to heavenly planets? Mataji, continue.
How to go to heavenly planets? In the Vedas, many sacrifices are recommended for elevation to the heavenly planets, especially the Jyotistoma
Jyotishtoma.
sacrifices. In fact, it is stated that anyone desiring elevation to heavenly planets must perform these sacrifices, and men with a poor fund of knowledge think that this is the whole process of Vedic wisdom.
Purpose.
It whole purpose of Vedic wisdom. It is very difficult for such inexperienced persons to be situated in the determined action of Krishna consciousness.
So Vedas are giving various ways in which one can go to heavenly planets. So this particular sacrifice, Jyotishtoma sacrifice, if one is performing properly under the guidance of proper people who could perform, one can go to the heavenly planets. So for such a people who think that the life is only to satisfy the senses, who are too much engrossed in the material sense gratification, for them, if you're talking about Krishna consciousness to be determined, it is very, very difficult for them. We have seen this, we are trying to preach Krishna consciousness to some of our friends and relatives. And when you're trying to talk about Krishna consciousness, do you think they are very receptive to take this process of Krishna consciousness? Is it very easy for them to take up this process? You
No.
tell them to chant 16 rounds. You tell them to follow the 4 regulative principles. You tell them to take only prasadam. Is it very easy for them?
No,
Why is it not easy for them?
they are not inclined towards it.
Yeah, but there is a reason, right? If a child does not want to study, which means the child likes to play, right? If you don't like to do something, means you like to do something else, right?
Else.
Nobody is detached in this world, right?
Hmm.
Everybody is doing something or the other. Correct. They don't like to do is okay. That is because you are so much attached to the material opulences and material enjoyment, so that for such kind of people who are too engrossed in the material life, it is very difficult to take up Krishna consciousness. That is why Krishna says manushyanam sahasreshu kashinyatati siddhaye. Only 1 in 1,000 people can take up Krishna consciousness. It's not very easy for somebody to take Krishna consciousness, because bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan ma prapadyate. After many, many, many lifetimes, one come to the process of Krishna consciousness, by which one's know Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. So at least some of us who have taken up this process of Krishna consciousness, we should be more resolute, like Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. Yes, like Krishna also said that whatever you started, it will not, there is no loss. So that doesn't mean that we come back again and again in the material world and slowly we progress in Krishna consciousness. Whereas what we should do, we should try to dedicate our life as a single pointed focus in Krishna consciousness. By doing so, what we can do, we can go back home, back to Godhead. Okay, is it clear
Yes.
why we should be a single pointer? Okay, analogy. Prabhupada also has given an analogy for such attractions.
Analogy for such attractions. As fools are attached to the flowers of poisonous trees, without knowing the result of such attractions, unenlightened men are similarly attracted by such heavenly opulence and the sense enjoyment thereof.
So Prabhupada has compared to these flowers as poisonous flowers, right? Sometimes, we see the small children, some flowers may look very beautiful, and we tell them, don't touch the flower, it's poisonous. But the child cannot resist, because the child think that the flower is very beautiful, right? The child will try to somehow or the other pluck the flower because of less intelligence, because they don't have proper intelligence. So similarly, the unenlightened men, they get carried away by the flowery words of Vedas, which are compared to the fruits of the poisonous trees. Why isn't Prabhupada saying it as poisonous trees? Why these flowers are considered to be poisonous?
Because that does not lead to Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, that is there. But what happens? Because it is further delaying your process, right?
Process to
Go to
be
Krishna
with him.
consciousness. See, if you are going to heavenly planets, which means you are going to spend lot of your time in there, by which your delay is more. Rather than even getting born in the earthly planets, you are getting more chances. Correct. But if you're going to heavenly planets, that means you're getting less chance because you will be spending so much of time over there and you're further delaying your process. So those people are knowing that that is also temporary and they think only sense enjoyment is everything because one day or the other, everybody has to leave everything and undergo the same process again and again, namely birth, death, old age, and disease. Therefore, Prabhupada is saying that such a flower is considered to be the flowers of poisonous tree, which only the unintelligent person will be going for it. So that means a person who is in Krishna consciousness is considered to be the most intelligent. Doesn't matter like whether a person is in the mode of goodness, a person is in the mode of passion, or a person is in the mode of ignorance. So by following Krishna consciousness, by chanting the names of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna consciousness can elevate person from all modes of nature. You don't even have to be in Sattva Guna, then only you can come to Krishna. Anybody can go. That is a special thing about Krishna consciousness. Continue, Mataji.
Recommendation in Karma Kanda sections of Veda. In the Karma Kanda section of the Vedas, it is said, Apama, Somam, Amrita, Abhuma, and Akshayam, Ha Vai Chaturmasya Yajanaha
Yajnai
Yagnehe Sukratam
Shukram Bhavan.
Bhavati. In other words, those who perform the 4-month penances become eligible to drink the somaras beverages to become immortal and happy forever.
Okay, so this is Chaturmas. Some people follow very rigid Chaturmas austerities. So what do they get when they are following this Chaturmasa very rigidly? Then they become eligible to drink the Somarasa. By taking the Somarasa, they will get lot of vitality and they can become immortal and happy forever. Immortal in the sense, within the material world, everything is mortal only. But people have an assumption that when you go to Swargaloka, you become immortal and happy forever. But actually speaking, you're not immortal, but they think that by taking the following such a sacrifice, you will become immortal. People say, no, sometimes when somebody passes away, they said he became a Swargavasi. Why do they say Swargavasi? They think that Swarga is a immortal place. They do not know that Swarga is also a temporary place. It may be longer, but it is still temporary. Okay. So ultimately, the desire for all the living entity is what? To be happy, right? That is the very nature of the soul. Ananda, Satchit Ananda Vigraha. But the problem is we do not know where do we get that happiness. But by performing penances and by performing austerities, when we are properly executing Krishna consciousness, when we will be actually situated in the proper happiness, that happiness which will give you permanent results. But there will be some austerity and penances. Even in the material world, if one has to undergo one has to take, suppose one has to clear the UPS exam or JEE or let's say NEET and all those exams, without performing the austerity, without working very hard, without sacrifice, is it possible for a person to clear such exams?
No.
It is not possible. Even in the material world, to obtain something, you need to perform some penance and austerity, right? So imagine you want to go to spiritual world. You want to go to that place where you're not going to come back. again, where you're going to have permanent ananda, bliss. So, don't you think that we also have to be austere? We have to perform penance and we have to be focused in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, at the end of this life, we go back home, back to Godhead. Do you think just by doing little bit of Krishna consciousness, by chanting few rounds and involving our entire day in material activities, not even remembering Krishna, we can go back to Krishna? Is it possible?
No.
Therefore, we need to engage our mind always in Krishna. Even though some of us are having the job, it is okay. But at least try to remember Krishna. And whatever the fruits that you get from your job, you can utilize that in the
Krishna consciousness.
propagation of Krishna consciousness, by which your money also becomes, whatever you earn, that also becomes austere because you're utilizing it for Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, it becomes because you are earning to just fulfill your own desires. Okay. Continue, Mataji.
Tendencies to lord over material nature. Even on this earth, some are very eager to have somaras to become strong and fit to enjoy sense gratifications. Such persons have no faith in liberation from material bondage, and they are very much attached to the pompous ceremonies of Vedic sacrifices. They are generally sensual and they do not want anything other than the heavenly pleasures of life. It is understood that there are gardens called
Nandana Kanana.
Nanna, in which there is good opportunity for association with angelic, beautiful women, and having a profuse supply of somras wine. Such bodily happiness is certainly sensual. Therefore, there are those who are purely attached to such material, temporary happiness as lords of the material world.
Okay, so we can see that. Uh, People even here the somarasa, no, today we know that people, they take whey protein. There are so many things available in the market, right? So which will help you to make strong. Go
Yeah.
to gym, take whey protein, become strong. So why they are going to gym? Why they want to become strong? So that they can enjoy their senses even better. That
But
is the whole point, right? Why do they do all those things? Because they wanted to become strong so that they can enjoy their senses better. Even today, the meditation. So, meditation, yoga means connecting your consciousness with Krishna. That is called yoga. So, just the yoga, the so called bodily exercises which do not connect you to Krishna, that is not considered to be yoga. Today, we see people do meditation and they do yoga and everything not to satisfy Krishna, so that they can get more energy and they can be more peaceful and their mind calms down, so that what they can do, they can enjoy this material world even better. That is the whole purpose of the people, right? If you ask them, they say that yes, we do that. You ask them, people who are doing yoga, are they even remembering Krishna? No. Even the yoga teacher does not say that. Then how will the students do that? You can call it as an exercise, but the word yoga means connecting your consciousness with Krishna. That is called yoga. Like karma yoga means dedicating your karma, connecting your karma with Krishna. Jnana, your knowledge with Krishna. And Ashtanga yoga, the meditation process with Krishna. And Bhakti yoga is through love, establishing the how to develop the eternal love to Lord Sri Krishna. So that is yoga. So just doing things in the name of the Vedic sacrifices, they think they are very dharmic. They say that we are doing everything according to the ceremony. We are very devoted people. We do bhakti and everything for what? Bhakti is to satisfy Krishna or to satisfy the self?
Satisfy
to satisfy
Satisfy
Krishna
the self. No, for them, according to
for
them,
the
they feel that they are doing all the sacrifices. They don't say that, they are not atheist people. They do all the sacrifices. They arrange such a pompous ceremony. Even we see in the north also, some people, they arrange Bhagavata Saptan. They spend like, I came to know through one of my friend that they spend 70 lakh rupees to do Bhagavata Saptan. They arranged a pandal where around 1,000 people can come every day. And the speaker, she charges 1 lakh rupees for 1 hour of giving the discourse.
My God.
So imagine every day she's speaking for 6 hours. So 7 times 6 is how much money? Half of the money went to the speaker itself, and another half went in prasadam distribution and arrangements and everything. But if such a person who is attached to Bhagavatam, who is doing such a Bhagavata Saptang, and who is hearing from speaker, but Bhagavatam says Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. You have to hear Bhagavatam every day. You have to serve Bhagavatam every day. How can one do is so attached to Krishna and do only for 7 days, spend so much of money and everything, and the following day they don't even read one verse of Bhagavatam? Then is it considered to be very spiritual? Yes, there is a spiritual thing. Whatever it is, Bhagavatam is recited. But did they able to connect themselves to Krishna by this ceremony?
No.
No. And Prabhupada also condemned that the professional Bhagavatam reciters one should not hear, because Bhagavatam is Krishna. When you are serving Krishna, if you are charging money towards it, that means that money the person is using for his own living. So you're giving Bhagavatam in the name of Krishna, you're living, taking the money to increase your comforts. So such a professional Bhagavatam reciters we shouldn't hear from such a professional Bhagavatam reciters. Therefore, we have to hear from some pure devotees. So when we are hearing from pure devotees like Srila Prabhupada, it is very easy for us to understand how to implement the scriptures in our day-to-day life. And Prabhupada has very boldly given this. Many people, they say, some of the people, they say that, ISKCON's Bhagavad Gita is not good because Prabhupada has not given a proper commentary. Why they don't like the commentary of Prabhupada? Why? Because Prabhupada is talking about the rules and regulations. He's talking about giving up your unwanted things. When Prabhupada went to West, there was a time where they booked a hall for him, which has a capacity of 200 people, but only 7 people were present. But in spite of that, Prabhupada spoke truth. He spoke about 4 regulative principles. We know in the Western world, the 4 regulative principles, this is all not followed by anybody. Everybody or the meat eaters there, illicit connections, that is also very common there. At least till a man or a woman gets married, they do the process of dating by which any man gets association of any other woman and so on. And gambling, we know Sin City, Las Vegas, so many casinos and other things are there, right? So they are generally known for breaking these regulative principles. But in spite of that, Prabhupada spoke about the 4 regulative principles. Because Prabhupada spoke the truth, even though the number of people were very less initially, because of the purity of the message and the truth, today we see that there are so many people who have taken up Krishna consciousness because Prabhupada was bold enough to give the truth to us. Otherwise, you read the elsewhere any other Bhagavad Gita, you will not hear like this. How Prabhupada said how to apply this in our day-to-day life. Otherwise, what you people generally said, bogi bhi bano or yogi bhi bano. Be a bogi and yogi. Is it possible to become a bogi and yogi?
Not together both.
Can we keep one leg in one side, another leg in another side? Can we move forward? No, right? If you're becoming bogi, you will advance one thing. And if you're becoming yogi, you will advance. If you become bogi, you will come back. Again, yogi, you will go up. Again, bogi, you will come back. Therefore, you will be just like
Confusion.
paddling in the boat. You will not go further. It's like a boat which is anchored. You feel like you're doing. Therefore, it is very important for us to have a single pointed focus in Krishna consciousness by following the 4 regulative principles. Can anybody say what are the 4 regulative principles?
No illicit sex,
No
no
illicit sex,
cheating,
no
no
meeting,
gambling, and no
no
intoxication.
intoxication. So we have to follow the 4 regulative principles. These are the don'ts. And what are the do's? Do's is to chant minimum of 16 rounds
16 rounds
and
of
engage yourself in the 9 process of devotional service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu,
Kirtanam
Smaranam,
Vishnu.
Pada Sevanam. Namely, Sevonmukohi Jigvaho. Atasri Krishna Namadi na bhave grahya indira. With our current senses, our senses are so blunt that one cannot understand Krishna with our blunt material senses. Therefore, we have to engage our senses in the service of Krishna, starting with tongue. Sevon mukohi jigvahu. By the tongue, we should chant Hare Krishna and we should glorify Krishna and we should taste Krishna Prasadam. Just by engaging our tongue alone in the service of Krishna, one can understand Krishna. Sevon mukohi jigvahu. So it is very important for us to engage ourselves in the process of Krishna consciousness by, namely, it starts with hearing. Hearing is very important. If you do not even hear, if you do not even know, then how will you practice it? Right? So it's all starts with Shravanam. So as much as possible, whenever you have time, please try to hear to Srila Prabhupada's classes. They are all available in YouTube. There is a channel called Acharya. You can go through that. Prabhupada has given so many classes. And if you don't want to use the phone, we also have a device called a Vaikuntha Vani device where there are 4,100 classes of Srila Prabhupada. So you can hear to the Prabhupada lectures every day while going in the train or while cooking or by doing any activities, cleaning. Try to engage yourself in hearing about Krishna and chant wherever possible. Keep chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra and keep remembering Krishna. By doing these process, one can attain perfection in Krishna consciousness. So we saw that Karma Kanda is a less intelligent path. It is less intelligent path because Karma Kanda is only whatever desires that is getting fulfilled is temporary. It is not permanent. That is why it is
permanent.
called less intelligent path. And examples of such sacrifices, we saw that when you perform sacrifices like Jyotishtama sacrifices, one can get elevated to heavenly planets where the
Planet.
profuse you can enjoy your senses. And examples of pleasure available. We saw wine and women are available very profusely in such a places. An analogy of such attraction, Prabhupada gave an example of a flower of a poisonous tree. So the less intelligent person, what do? They are attracted to the poisonous flowers. So one who thinks that, Vedas are recommending us to enjoy our senses, these flowers are the poisonous flowers. And who is saying that? Krishna himself is saying, Vedesha Sarvair Ahameva Vedyo Vedanta Kritveda Videha Chaham. In 15th chapter, Krishna says that I am the knower of all the Vedas. I am the compiler of all the Vedas. So Krishna, who is the knower of all the Vedas, who is the compiler of all the Vedas, himself is saying that don't get carried away by the flowery words of Vedas. Therefore, whose words do we hear? Do we hear Krishna's words or do we hear the words of Vedas given us to gratify our senses?
Krishna's verses.
Krishna's words, because the Vedas itself came only from him. Therefore, we saw that Srila Vyasadev gave Srimad Bhagavatam. In spite of giving all these Vedas, he was not very satisfied because this will further entangle the people. It will not help you that it will not help you to come out of the bondage. The more you're doing such sacrifices, that means you're getting more and more entangled. Like we saw the children who are playing game, the more they level up, what is happening? They are getting
They
more
get
and
more and
more
more
entangled.
involved.
They will start with 1 hour of game, but the more they keep playing, their average time to play games will become 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, like that. And once they achieve frustration, we saw many children by playing these games, they have committed
Yeah, suicide.
suicides because they got more and more entangled, because
Entangled.
initially it gave them a pleasure. When they play the games, they got the pleasure. The more they thought they are advancing, they are progressing in such games, the same game which was giving them pleasure will become a distress for them, right? So the same analogy we can say the material world, if we more and more doing things for enjoyment of our material senses, we will get more and more entangled, and that will give us only dukkha, right? It will not give us sukha. So we'll do the Narsimha prayers. Any questions or doubts in this sloka or any clarification? Is everything clear?
Ji,
Yes,
Mataji.
Mataji.
Okay, so it is little heavy verse for all of us. Heavy in the sense we can know that whatever we have been taught, we have to stop doing that, right?